Good evening, everyone. Today is November the 14th, Wednesday, and you're at the City of Opa-locka CRA meeting. The time is now 5:46. And we would ask Madam Clerk if you will call the meeting to order, please. The roll call, please.
Chair Russell,
Here.
Mayor Taylor, Board Member Williams,
Here.
Board Member Bass,
Here.
Board Member Davis, Board Member Dominguez,
Here.
Board Member Williams.
Here.
Meeting is called to order.
Thank you. And for this board, they're all board members except for the chair and the vice chair. You said mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
It's
apologize.
okay, just a little correction. We'll ask every one of you will stand for the moment of silence. Now we can have the pledge for each. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, are there any add-ons for the meeting tonight? Or deletions?
No, ma'am.
For an emergency meeting, do we approve the minutes from the previous meeting? Okay. All right, I didn't think so. There will be no approval of minutes because this is an emergency meeting. We're gonna open the floor for public comments. Anyone on? Mr. IT, anyone on for public comments? Okay. Madam Clerk, anyone called in for public comments? Okay, public comments is open and public comments are now closed. I think for the sake of the items that are before us, I'm gonna ask Mr. Executive Director, how do you want to handle this? Because we have Mr. Haygood that's here and we want to be able to give him an opportunity to please address the board. So how do you want us to handle this?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we'd like to give Mr. Haygood an opportunity to present himself to the board as he has requested to have his opportunity to have a face-to-face before the board. There are two items tonight. One, if the board decides to move forward with Mr. Haygood, that would authorize the executive director, myself, to contract with Mr. Haygood. The second item, the board has already had the opportunity at the last meeting to meet with Ms. Harrell. And if the board decides to move in that direction, we'll have the opportunity to vote on that item. And if it be the will of the board, to contract with Ms. Harrell. I'll now ask Mr. Haygood to come to the podium and present himself to the board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, thanks for accommodating some problems I had with scheduling issues. I don't really have, I assume that you've seen my resume. I have been practicing since 1975.
Excuse me 1 second, Mr. Haygood. Mr. IT, can you please turn this mic up some?
You can't hear me?
Needs to be a little bit louder.
Okay, how's this?
That's better.
Okay. I've been practicing since 1975. I'm a graduate of the University of Florida Law School. I got interested in community development back in '76 when the statute was first passed. I have worked with various CRAs since that time, from the city of West Palm Beach being my first client, Boca, Boynton, Riviera Beach. I presently represent the Lauderdale Lakes Community Redevelopment Agency. In those years, you can imagine that I've had a wide experience in CRA work, from condemnation when the CRAs had that authority, to issuing bonds, contracts for commercial improvements, facade improvements, contracts, residential facade improvements. We've done several development agreements where the CRA had assembled property and went out to secure a developer to develop the property. I've done a real large housing deal in Boynton Beach. I've also done some ancillary things with CRA work, including new markets tax credit deals, which are pretty complicated. And not a big, it's more for economic development. I don't know a lot more that I can say. Like I said, I've been doing it for many years and have quite a bit of experience. I'm here to answer any questions you may have about my experience in that area.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Haygood. Is there any questions from board members?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Board Member Williams.
Thank
Since
you.
we have two Williams now, we have to say the Williams or N Williams. So this
Well, you
is
know, we
Board Member
Williams are
V.
great, you know,
Williams.
it's the Williams thing. Good evening. Thank
evening.
you so much for being here. I noticed the extensive history and you just put together and I'm sure a short synopsis of your bio. You talked about the facade agreement, the facade program that you did, I believe you said in West Palm Beach.
I think
I think
and
I'm not
actually
sure.
doing one currently in Lauderdale Lakes, and we also did one in Riviera Beach.
How, if you can speak on it, like how success.
Actually, you really can't do anything unless it's in your redevelopment plan. Now, how specific you have to be, that's a question. But you, at a minimum, have to say, we're gonna have a commercial and facade improvement program. And you don't have to lay out the specifics, but at least typically it's better than the area that you're gonna focus on. So, as I said, I knew sometimes politically or for reasons you have to spread the wealth, so to speak. What I found that those programs usually aren't as successful as when you concentrate on larger projects. I'm not talking about, $100,000 projects, something at least you get your better bang for your buck.
And well, not and, well, my next question, what were some of your successes running CRA or as the attorney for CRA?
Well, successful in the sense the projects that I enjoyed putting together and seeing them come to fruition. I guess one would be the project in Lauderdale Lakes. It was a deal where the CRE owned some property in their downtown area, which is not really that large. It really was developed as a bedroom community. But they did a real nice project. It's a mixed use project. They got the county to buy in. The county put their library there. And we also did a project that I questioned at first. Property that they had purchased, and they decided the higher value of the property really was for commercial purposes. But again, it's a small city. They didn't have a lot of new single family developments. So they decided to develop the property as a single family estate homes project. So when you looked at the cost of the subsidies that they gave the developer, they were significant, but they said they hadn't had a new residential development in that area in years. And it's been very successful. I think they about sold out. And the project was done by Pulte, and I'd say within a year, the project was sold out. And then the other project that's was fun to deal with, the success is still out there. Was a project in Revere Beach. They had a marina. The marina needed to be upgraded. The executive director at that time had a background in New Markets tax credits. So, which is a way, it's like low income housing tax credits. So they built a new community center with the funds, redid the marina, brought it up to elevations for FEMA. The center itself, the community center, is a great success. Now, the rest of the development is slow to come around, has not come around. And I would tell you that is not unusual for redevelopment projects. They aren't something that necessarily will take off right away. So you have to be patient quite often. It's a matter of when you get the market right, and other considerations. But those are my three favorites.
And my last question, sorry.
No,
My last question. Oh, sorry, thank you. My last question, I know you are all presently over the CRA in another municipality, correct?
Lauderdale Lakes.
Well,
I'm not over it. I'm the general counsel.
that's what I meant. I'm so
Yes.
sorry,
Yes. Nope.
the council. Are those meetings, do they conflict with the same night that we have our meetings?
From what I understand, let's
So-
put it this way. My meeting in Lauderdale Lakes is on the third Tuesday of every month. We have a meeting tomorrow night.
Okay,
And I understand your meeting is by bylaws on the second Tuesday.
what is it?
It's the second Tuesday for the city of
Okay.
Opa-locka.
Okay,
So, no, I don't see a conflict with the meetings.
okay, thank you.
Anyone else has questions for Ms. Haygood?
Madam
Board
Chair.
Board Member, Dominguez.
Thank you. Good evening,
Good evening.
Mr. Haygood. Thank you for coming. I know you drove over a long way to come down here. I was looking at your resume. How many years in total can you say that you have experience with the CRA? Experience.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. I'd say at a minimum.
Mhm.
40 years,
30 years,
40.
40 years. Wow. And have you ever worked for a municipality this size? Is it small, medium, or you work for larger cities?
I think Lauderdale Lakes is probably similar to you in population. Yeah, I'd say those would be the two cities that are closer in size now.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
my question to you would be, what is it that you are hoping to bring to our CRA to make it better?
Wealth of experience, I'd say that would be the best thing in dealing with, I think my record is such that, I try to keep my purview to general counsel work, not get involved in any political issues. I work for the board. Whoever the majority rules and the majority, as long as it's legal and you make the policy decision, I would follow it. But I say the top thing is my experience.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Board Member Bass, you done?
Yes, yes.
Anyone else? Okay. Since we have taken a vote on our last meeting and we wanted to afford Mr. Haygood an opportunity to come and present himself before the board because he didn't have that opportunity, I'm going to turn to Mr. Director, where do we go from here? And, you know, why was this necessary?
Well, historically what happened is we had the meeting. All of the candidates were invited to come to the meeting. One of the candidates arrived and showed up. I was informed that Mr. Haygood was not given enough time to make accommodations to attend the meeting. I called Mr. Haygood. We had a conversation. He stated, and I quote, well, Mr. Manager, this is not something because of the low salary. I wish you all the best. I put that in an email, sent that to Mr. Haygood. He responded a couple days later that I misunderstood him, that he would like the opportunity to present himself to the board. I told him I would make every accommodation to make sure that happened so that he could be here face to face. We had some meeting schedules. Those did not move forward, more so on our side than on his side. Although he did state that he had some conflicts with some dates that were presented. So we wanted to provide him with the opportunity to present himself physically to the board. So if you guys have any questions, we have 2 items here tonight. I'd ask that the first item A, if this board desires to move forward with Mr. Haygood, be voted upon, yay or nay. And then should that approve, we'll move forward, Mr. Haygood. Should that not approve, we have item B, which it is the recommendation of staff, the CRA staff, that this board adopt. And should you move forward with yays on that, we will contract with Ms. Harrell.
Okay, and look,
Madam
yes.
Chair.
before you go, Madam Attorney, I'm looking at this agenda here, and the H1 is a resolution for Mrs. Harrell first. Now, I'm going to right here, what I have. Let me say this. I think that as the chair of this board, I've set in on the on all of the candidates for the attorney. I took the advice of our sitting attorney that said that we did not have to go through a process, that we could choose whomever this board desired. Somewhere along the line, this cloud has got muddied. I am not going to be forced nor made to do anything that I don't think is right. I'm going to ask you, Madam Attorney, to, I have an agenda item in front of me. Give us your legal opinion as to what you think or what you would, how you would lead us to go as the sitting attorney and then board members. I'm looking down here at each of you. We have a decision to make. I thought we made a decision at the last meeting. And I'm kind of lost for words. And I've had extensive conversation with the attorney, the sitting attorney, and I've had extensive conversation with the director of the CRA. It doesn't make me look good nor feel good to be put in this position, but I'm here. And as the chair, I'll deal with it accordingly. So, Madam Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This issue first came to you all. You're correct. I did let this entire board know through Ms. Cobb that you had the option. This issue came to you initially from staff saying that they were addressing the 99 findings by bringing this issue forward. And saying that it needed to be a procurement because of the 99 findings. Well, of course, that's not true. And I did let you know that the statutes, Florida statutes, exclude legal services from being a part of a procurement process if you choose. As a result, I did not think you all had anyone. I am not interested in continuing this work for a number of reasons. And we suggested full transparency, Mr. Haygood. So at that time, a meeting was called, it was held, it was to, you were asked to bring back 3 names, at least 3 names of people, candidates who were competent in doing CRA work. I didn't think your staff knew of anyone. And so I sent Mr. Haygood's name in. They brought back 2 names. Mr. Haygood was not afforded the opportunity. And so it was, I just want to make a slight correction to what Mr. Williams said, that he was told about the meeting date. He was told there would be a meeting. He was not told about what date there will be. He was given a call 15 minutes before the meeting on a day that he had a conflict and was headed to another meeting. First, he was told that the meeting would be a conflict for him because it was held on a different date. That
Madam Attorney,
for the record,
please.
Madam Chair, for the
Madam
record,
Attorney, Madam Attorney.
you did tell me
please.
you were going to allow me
You
to.
please, let's not get into all of those things that we have already discussed. Can we please see, how do we move? Do we as a board, do we move forward in voting?
I will address that. I will address that.
I have one question.
Yeah, I will address that if you'll allow me
Okay.
to.
Well,
You-
we're
and we
not
did-
going
and we
to,
did-
we are not going to go back and forth again with all of these things. Mr. Haygood is here. He's very well capable of speaking for himself. I've heard it all. I've heard it all. I really don't want to spend my time tonight hearing it again. Can you
Okay,
tell
I
me
can certainly do that.
how do we move forward? Give us your legal opinion. Do we vote?
Okay, let me give my legal opinion.
Please.
So first of all, the items that were put forward to you were not approved by me. So I cannot tell you to go forward on voting on contracts that I did not prepare, was not given prior to this meeting to look at and say, hey, make changes on them. Your staff, your CRA staff went out, gave individual contracts to different people, one of which contains a retainer agreement, which is ridiculous, and a severance agreement, which is ridiculous. And I will say that you and I spoke on Friday. We have not had extensive conversations. We spoke on Friday with
1
the manager,
hour and 48
and during that
minutes.
meeting, you said you were
1
going.
hour and 48 minutes.
During that meeting, you said, I am going to allow you to say whatever you want to say. I'm going to say whatever I want to say. The manager will say whatever he wants to say. I want to address the fact, Madam Chair, respectfully, that there are issues that need to be handled, dealt with, accommodated, looked at, paid attention to with this CRA. I do want to let you know that I know you take it as a personal affront. You should not. I am doing my duty by letting you know if my name appears on documents that are put forward to this board to be legal documents that I did not prepare. I simply don't think it would be legal for you to vote on those items that I did not prepare. So I think I'm answering your question. And I'm asking that at this point, because there are items in front of you that I did not prepare, did not produce, was not asked to consider, revise, do anything with, that you not vote on it and that you not go forward tonight on issues that are improperly before you.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I have a quick question.
Can you just hold off 1
Okay.
minute? Madam Clerk, do you have the gavel down there?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Anyone has the gavel? Board Member Williams, Veronica, you wanted to say something.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question, so it's very clear that this process became very convoluted. And it's unfortunate that it's gotten this way. My question is, if Mr. and this, it's a pretty much a yes or no question to the attorney. If you had not proffered Mr. Haygood's name, or if his name was not on one of the three, would all of this be, would you be going through the same process and having this much to say?
I would absolutely have so much to say when items are put before you that I did not prepare. You may remember several meetings ago in a commission meeting when the manager brought an item that I did not prepare before you, brought it as a walk-on that night. I had a lot to say about that. I have a lot to say about this. I think it's wrong. I think it's improper. And yes, I would have a lot to say. And that had nothing to do with Mr. Haygood for that commission meeting that I'm particularly talking about now.
But so once again, Madam Chair, I'm sorry. So where I'm confused is if there's so much to say, why is it all being said now during a process of hiring an attorney? How come all this wasn't said if there were before? Like, why is this all being?
Madam Mayor or Madam Williams, Madam Board Member, you were the person who was copied the most on email. I have a stack of email here where Mr. Williams was copying both you and the chair on many email. You didn't respond, so there was no sunshine violation. But I will say that there were many email, and then you continued to be copied. So to say that I'm just bringing this up now, it is, that is not supported by the facts. It's not supported by the email. It's not supported by the traffic going back and forth. I think it is a problem. And it has escalated to a point where it resulted in items coming before you that I was not even given the consideration to look at before you saw them. So yeah, and they were sharing contracts with other attorneys that I didn't even know they were sharing, and nobody sees that, or at least staff didn't see that as an issue. It is an issue.
So
It
yes,
is-
I was.
Excuse me.
No, I would like to respond. to that.
Board
Thank
Member Williams,
I would thank
you
so much.
asked You asked for a yes or no
But
answer.
I would like to respond because I was just told that I was on emails and I would like to respond because that's on record.
Okay, go
Thank
ahead.
you. Yes, so you are correct. I was on emails. However, my question is, it is being brought out tonight and I'm asking, while we've had many CRA meetings, I'm not talking about emails because emails aren't privy to everyone on the board. I'm saying many CRA meetings, if there are systems, flaws, violations, and all these things that have been going on that you're saying that through the legal department that the CRA have dropped the ball on during those meetings, how come they were never said to the entire board? Whereas, now, and I'm not gonna sit here and say, no, I was on emails, but those emails weren't privy to the whole board. Did you all see those emails? You didn't, okay. So the point of it is I'm asking, why is it tonight it is such it's this extenuating issue? Is it just because, would it be this much if Mr. Haygood was not on the agenda?
No, it would not be. And to
Okay.
say that I've never said anything about issues with the CRA would not be accurate. I went to each one of you individually as CRA board members and let you know that a few weeks ago, money was getting ready to go out on the street without a contract. Just money, just a check was going to be
Oh.
written without even a contract. I had to
All right,
force a
Madam Attorney,
contract to be
Madam
done.
Attorney.
I had to force a program to be written that I don't even know if it's being
Board
used
Member
right now.
Williams, Board Member Williams, did you get your question answered?
No, because it's constant slander. I don't want to do
Okay,
this.
let me say this again. Let me say this. When this issue of an attorney first came up, the Madam Attorney said to me that we did not have to go through a process. I didn't know anything about Madam Attorney not wanting to be the attorney until she brought it to my attention. So if there was no need to be a process, I don't understand why we are continuously going back and forth and back and forth. We all know what the problem is. This has gotten so far out of hand to I am embarrassed that Mr. Haygood is even sitting here tonight because we made a decision as a board. I think only one person on this board did not agree. She asked her questions. She got to whatever questions she wanted to have answered. She got them answered. And I think this is just a fiasco. And I'd rather not be a part of it.
Madam Chair.
Because I think that I've said to the attorney and I've said to Director Williams, I've sat on this CRA board longer than anyone up here. And I've never had this much conversation over choosing anyone. The last attorney that was here, we didn't even have a conversation. We were given the present attorney to this board. The reason why we came back with an agreement is because we were contacted by the state that we did not have, the CRA did not have an agreement with the attorney, that the attorney's agreement was with the city. I've said, I don't know how many times that I've been up here. The CRA is a separate entity from the city. So the thing is that we are doing a simple process to choose an attorney.
But you did.
If the outgoing attorney does not want to be the attorney for the CRA anymore, let's move forward.
Right,
Please.
but you did
Madam
decide to have a
Attorney,
process.
Board Member Dominguez, you had something you wanted to say.
Can I just say
Please.
this very quickly? You did
Madam
decide to have
Attorney,
a process.
please, let's not do this. Let's not do this.
But what I'm saying, madam,
Let's not do this
you
again
decided to
tonight.
have a process. That's why you're here.
Okay,
You decided
Okay,
to do
so
that.
we're gonna
I
clean it up. We're gonna clean it up tonight. Board Member Dominguez, please.
Thank you. I think that this whole resolution should not go through for the simple fact that it did not go through legal sufficiency. It was made up by the city manager. He is not an attorney. It should not go through. I really think that this resolution should be deferred until the next board members who were elected get sworn in to move this forward. This is not an emergency. This should not be here, and we should not vote on this tonight, being the fact that it did not go through legal. Now, if you want to vote on it and then it comes later on and bite you, that's on y'all, but I'm not going through that. I don't
Thank you.
care if you select whoever you select. It doesn't have to be either one. But being that this resolution did not go through the attorney, we shouldn't even be voting on this tonight.
Madam Chairwoman.
Sir, hold on a second. Are you finished, Board Member
Yes,
Dominguez?
yes, I am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Last board meeting, we voted to accept Mrs. Harrell as the attorney. That's already been voted on and passed. What we were voting on tonight is an agreement. If it's the desire of this board, I'm one person, one vote, not trying to be two. If it's the desire of the board not to vote on this agreement, that's up to them. That's up to us as a board. But last meeting, we did vote to approve the hiring of Miss Yvette Harrell.
Yet we never
I
gave Mr.
think-
Haygood an opportunity to present himself, which is not fair. They did not give him an opportunity to present himself. So I don't think that it's fair.
That's
I don't
why he
care who
brought
they
it back.
select.
Chair.
That's why he was brought back, because
Madam Chair.
Madam Attorney, we need to cut it out and let the board members speak. Board Member Dominguez, she has the right to say whatever she wants to say, and we're gonna vote up, down, or around. We're gonna do that, but we are not while I'm sitting here, we are not gonna be going back and forth all night long, because this should not be happening. Anyone, are you finished?
Madam Chair?
Yes,
So- so
ma'am.
Basically, my question is, so we're gonna go ahead and go through this resolution when it was not drafted by the city attorney. That's what you guys are saying? Are you guys?
We're not
agreeing on
saying-
this?
Board Member Dominguez, we're not saying anything because we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, I just want.
We haven't even gotten to that question. We just had Mr. Haygood to come and present himself. I asked the attorney, how do we move forward? But instead of saying how we move forward, I've gotten up a whole movie.
I answered your question.
So I'm going to move, I think I saw, before you again, Board Member Williams. Did I see Bassett? I see you had your hand up.
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Any other board members?
Me?
You again.
Yes, ma'am.
Bring some humor to this. Bring some
No,
humor in
no,
here.
you can't. Okay. So my question, and I just want to go back, on what, Board Member Dominguez, was this item given to legal to read before we see it tonight?
No,
Okay.
ma'am, it went on an agenda.
Excuse
thought she
me,
was talking to me.
she's talking to you're asking the director.
Wow, yeah, I guess so. I don't get, it doesn't matter.
The attorney already said that she
Oh.
didn't see it.
Okay, so,
it has-
yeah, so
he
I'll,
has to
Mr.
have
Director.
The
whether or not
contract,
whether it was sent or not, and then we can look in our emails to see when it was sent and who all was on the email, where the agenda item was sent.
So, wait, I'm confused.
Don't be,
What?
don't be confused.
No,
I
I'm just
said that
asking.
what we can do is we can look at the agenda items that are before us tonight. And we can look back at the emails because most of us have our computers here.
I don't-
And you will see who was copied on those items.
But I just wanted, if Mr. Williams could answer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, board member. First, the notion that I drafted these resolutions as stated by board member Dominguez, from which she got her facts, I don't know, but that is factually incorrect. I had nothing to do with the drafting of these resolutions. As the city attorney is aware, as the CRA attorney is aware. I am now going to turn the mic over to the CRA manager, Mr. Delane, who I have directed to ensure that he submit all documentation to the CRA attorney. I am going to ask that he state for the record on the dates which these items were submitted to her.
And Madam Chair, this should be
Thank you,
not
Mr.
when,
Director.
not when it was published, but before publication. Thank you.
For the record, the attorney was sent information back on Friday, October 14th, in regards to the items for the CRA meeting. All items were presented to the attorney prior to the meetings moving forward. And there's been multiple meetings that were canceled. However, the attorney has had this information multiple times, and it's been back and forth in regards to the information that was presented. So the fact that the information was not provided is inaccurate.
You saying item H1 and H2 multiple times she's seen these items? Oh, okay.
That's correct. I'd also like to state this for the record. It has been over a week.
Mr.
I just,
Director,
what-
please make it short.
It is short.
Let's not
You're
take
making it
this
longer.
long.
It's not personal. This is for the record.
I
All
think
I'm
we
gonna
should
state-
show the contract.
I'll-
We should show
I'll-
the
if I
contract
cannot
to me
be-
because it did.
Please stop interrupting me, Madam Attorney, please. I have not interrupted you. Did you just call me a liar? You are completely.
That I am not a liar.
Excuse me. Listen. What we're going to do, Madam Attorney and Mr. Director and board members, this is what we're going to do. We are going to move forward on, look at your agenda, see what's on your agenda. How do you all want to move and the majority rules, and we're gonna move forward. So the only voice we'll be hearing is the board members and the clerk. Can I get some direction from the board? Because that's what we're here for.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
as it is right now with me, we have already voted for Ms. Harrell and I'm sticking to it. Thank you very much.
Okay, can I hear from someone else?
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
so I noticed that there are agreements that are attached to this package. Are we voting on the agreements or are we voting to negotiate? Because it is not very clear in the resolutions that I see here. So I would appreciate some
Yeah.
clarification so I understand what we are actually being called to vote on.
What we're doing right now, Chair, Madam
I know you know my.
Board
Madam
member.
Williams, yes.
Nikesha Williams, what we're doing right now is the board is giving us direction on how do you want to move. We voted last week on Ms. Harrell. Ms. Harrell at this time is the voted in attorney. What is before us tonight was some service agreements. One for Mr. Haygood and one for Mrs. Harrell. So if we choose to move forward, I want the board to give me directions. What do you all want to do? You want to leave it as
Madam Chair.
is and then come back to the agreements at a later date? But Ms. Harrell is at this time the voted in attorney.
Madam Chair.
Okay, so.
I want to hear from the board.
So, Madam Chair, I think where I find myself is that the resolutions that we would be voting on don't seem to reflect what we are talking about. And so I struggle with the way forward, to be very honest. So my inclination would be not to vote on these items simply because I believe they probably need a little bit of work. It's just not clear in terms of what we're looking at here and what we're being called to do based on this discussion. I'm the newbie on the dais, and so I look forward to hearing from everyone else, but as a newbie, that is what I see here.
Thank you. Board Member Taylor?
Madam Chair, I'm with all of my colleagues in this sense. What we were talking about is not what we're voting on tonight. So as it stands, Ms. Harrell is the voted in attorney. So we know majority of us voted to keep her. I'm not changing my vote. I think Bass said she's not changing her vote. I don't know where everybody else stands. So are we moving forward to discuss the contract? Or what do you, I guess that's what we're asking. What is your expectation right now? I think that's what Ms. Nikisha Williams is asking. We don't understand your question, what your expectation. for right now.
Okay, my expectation right now is, do you want to vote tonight? You want to go over these agreements tonight with Ms. Harrell? Do you want to move forward to allow Mr. Haygood to come in and be a part of a vote? Do you want to take another vote? Because Board Member Bass said she's sticking with the decision that she made.
And
You
I'm
said
with
you're
my
sticking
decision.
with the decision. I'm sticking with the decision that I made. So we have Board Member Williams and Board Member Dominguez. And after we decide that whether we're gonna stick with our decision or take it back, then if you want to vote or go over these agreements tonight, we can with Attorney Harrell, or we can save it for another date, because I know you all have another meeting after tonight. But when we come back, we need to have a clear mind as to exactly what we're voting on. And Mr. Director and Mr. Manager, my document that I have in front of me is different. So I think the best thing for us to do as a board is to leave Mrs. Harrell where she's at. If she wants to serve this board in the interim, as Madam Attorney is on her way out, and if they could, if they could have a transition period, and if she agrees to that, then she will be the attorney. If not, we'll bring it back next week and next meeting and go through this process again without all of the add-ons. So I need to hear from Board Member Williams. What do you say? Are you gonna change? Are you gonna stay the same?
Well, what my only thing is, at the end of the day, you still have 2 agenda items, whether we change or not, we still have to vote on.
Yeah, we're
The
gonna do
items.
that. I want to know concerning that
No,
issue.
I'm
What do you
sticking
do?
to my vote.
Okay, Board Member Dominguez, you voted no,
Right.
and you're
Yeah.
sticking, are you sticking to your vote?
Yes, but my question is, what was the point of even inviting Mr. Haygood if the decision was already made? It was just like you gave someone else the job without even the other people being interviewed. So that's fine.
Well, Board Member Dominguez, that's really not all correct.
No?
That's
Mm.
really not all correct, but you know, everybody have their opinion as to how they look at it. So, can we pull, would you all like to pull that agenda item and move forward? Board members, what do you think?
And Madam
Board
Chair,
members?
Madam Chair, let me clarify
board
really
members.
quickly.
No. Board members?
Madam Chair, I would love to hear what he has to say because
Yeah.
that's gonna keep us moving forward. I need to hear what he has to say.
And I'll be very brief. The items presented to you is to look at an agreement. However, you can add a contingency to it that based on your vote tonight, we can bring it back. And as the chair mentioned, work in the interim to shore up any challenges or changes that need to be made so we can move forward on this item.
Okay. Did you all hear, Mr. Manager? I have a question for you, Madam Attorney. Will you work in the interim with the incoming attorney to make sure that the next agenda items are presented to us?
I will absolutely work with anybody
you.
to do whatever's necessary to
Thank
make
you.
sure that we function. But Madam Chair, can I just?
No,
read-
ma'am, we're
I
not
wanted to read
going
Mr.
back.
Darby's email.
We are not
Okay.
going back
Very
to
well.
that again.
Thank you.
Okay, so can you pull, we're gonna pull those items?
We're gonna pull those items and work in the interim on the selected candidate that the board had made at the last meeting to move forward. Unless there was a decision.
Okay, what we're doing is he's pulling the items. The attorney has agreed that she will work with the incoming attorney to make sure that the agenda items for the next meeting has legal sufficiency to be brought before the board so that we can vote on them. Board members,
Thank you.
okay, so you're pulling the items.
That is correct.
Okay. For the record, H1 and H2 is being pulled from the agenda. You have that, Madam Clerk? Got it. Okay. All right. I don't think we want to discuss anything else tonight because you all have another meeting and we want to all. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Board member, we have a new board member here, Miss Nikisha Williams, the appointment of District 2. We're sorry. We did not acknowledge you at the beginning of the meeting.
That's okay. That's okay. A lot of work to be done.
Go ahead. Anything else?
That's it, Madam Chair.
Okay. Motion to adjourn? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned.